Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my higher self. I am worthy of desiring miracles.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Crazy Talk. In today's episode, we will be talking about addiction, what it is, what it looks like, and we'll be covering different types of addiction. So let's get ready. So when you hear addiction, like most people, you probably think of drugs and you picture like this strung out person. But that's not always the case. There's a lot of high functioning drug addicts, first of all. So you can't always tell that a person is using. And there's also multiple different types of addiction. In this episode, we will be talking about drug addiction, food addiction, sex addiction, and social media addiction. So, first off, what is addiction? So, addiction is defined as drug-seeking behavior that is compulsive or difficult to control. Now, like I said, there's multiple different types of addiction. It doesn't just have to be drug, but they say drug because at the root core of those addictions, it's a chemical in your brain being released that's telling you, you want more, you want more. Okay, so our first addiction is food addiction. Now, I chose this one because it's a real problem, especially with how normalized processed food is in today's society. Now, I mean, obviously, as you can tell, I do fall victim of processed food. It's good, but it's designed to be good. It's designed to make you crave it. The salt, sugar, and fat, it all releases, it's releasing a chemical in your brain, dopamine. It's a survival instinct, basically, because your body needs to tell you that you want that, so you go seek it out so you would survive. But nowadays, processed food makes it so easily accessible that you just crave it, crave it, crave it. And then people like me, who fall under the addiction category, just get these impulses. And your brain kind of thinks you're hungry, but you deep down, you're not hungry. It's like this urge to just go eat for no reason. I'll just be sitting there and it's like, I need that. And then the lack of impulse control, I'm like, okay, I want that. I'm going to go get it. So I go get it. And it's a repeated cycle. Now, you may be asking, you may be thinking in your head, it's not a real addiction. Like, these people are just lazy, fat, and they just need to get off. They just need to exercise. But, there's so much to processed food that they don't tell us. Like the fact that it literally starves your brain of the proper nutrients that you need, which can in turn affect your mental health. So if you're already, like us BPD folks, already suffering from mental health, that can actually worsen our symptoms. So look into that. It's very interesting, because, you think you're getting the nutrition you need, but you're not. So even though you're putting all this junk food in your body and your brain's like, I'm starving, but your stomach's not. And then, so that's why you want to go back for more, because you didn't get those nutrients and the boost and dopamine. Your brain's like, give me more, give me more. So how do you become addicted to food? So those of us that have emotional, mental health issues, or even not even those of us that have mental health issues, those of you I don't want to say the wrong word here. I'm gonna call you normals or normies if you see it. Shameless. All of you, yo, uh, d- don't cancel me on episode 7 for this, okay? But all of you normies out there, um, like how many times did you turn to food after like a hard day, or like a breakup for sure? You know, they show it in every movie. Um, yeah, go through a breakup or a fight, and the first thing you do is go to the fridge and get some ice cream, something high in sugar, and it makes you feel better, right? That's because it actually does. It releases that dopamine in your brain, which temporarily makes you feel better. But then, then they get back, they get out of it, and then they move forward. But for us to have this repeated cycle, food becomes a security blanket for us. So anytime like you're triggered. So for me, if I'm mad, I'm eating. If I'm sad, I'm eating. I'm bored, I'm eating. But it's really interesting that the anger part of eating. It's just like something I just need to do something to get my mind off of it. So I eat. But it's true. I don't like it, but I do. Now, what are the symptoms? Now, just because you eat a lot does not mean you're a food addict, okay? So not every big person you see is a food addict. Um, you can be big and healthy. So, and you don't have to be big to be a food addict. You could be a food addict and just work out a ton, but at least you're staying healthy. But for people like me, it becomes a problem because it can impact your health. And that's where it becomes really classified as an addiction, is if you know that it's harmful for you and you cannot stop. So like, oh, how many times do you say, oh, I'm not going to eat any chips for like 3 weeks or anything sweet. But then, those cravings in the back of your head, like, oh, I need that. I want that. That's your brain craving that dopamine that it knows it's going to get from that food. So I think I'm getting off topic, but so yeah, we use food as a security blanket. So then each time something happens, like I said, like when I get upset, we're turning to food and food and food. So, and then that processed food that we're eating in turn makes you depressed. It makes you anxious. And on top of that, the health issues. So, and then for me, I have IBS. So my stomach, I'll be in physical pain, and yet I still do it. Even though my body has consistently told me, stop doing this. So why don't I stop? Because addiction is not as easy as you think. It's just simple willpower. And, BPD, we have a tendency to lack impulse control, which makes it that much harder. So now, for me, I started turning to food around the 6th grade, which was also about the same time I started smoking weed. I mean, it goes hand in hand right there. But the thing was, I developed this really unhealthy relationship with food. So growing up, I would constantly get bullied by my family. So I wouldn't really want to be out there with them. So I would like literally starve myself all day and just stay in my room. Just lock myself in my room so I don't have to deal with them. And then when everybody was asleep or gone out of the house, then I would raid the kitchen and then I would hoard all that food and I would binge eat. So, and then the next day, I would get called out for that and I would get publicly shamed in front of my whole family, which would lead to more awkwardness, more embarrassment, which in my head, when they were like, you need to stop eating at night, like you can't sneak all that food at night. In my head, they were calling me fat and ridiculing me. Now, that was not the case. I mean, my oldest sister would definitely, But my grandparents, they weren't really making fun of me. They were just telling me that that was against the rules. Like, I could eat with the family and not stuff my face at night because obviously that's unhealthy. Now, they never told me that. They just was like, stop eating food out the kitchen, and actually started locking the cabinets so I wouldn't steal food. But they never actually addressed the issue of why I was stealing food. So in my head, it was just like, I'm fat and I need to stop eating. So I would attempt to starve myself. And then then locking myself in my room became less because I was embarrassed and more because I didn't want people to see me eating. But then I would still, cave at night. So I would go take some more food up until they locked the cabinets. So that kind of became my thing. And even still now, like, I'm just now realizing this pattern at 26. I will go all day up until like literally 5 o'clock at night until eating. I don't get hungry. But then I binge and binge and binge. And then here comes the second classification of an addiction. I feel guilty. Every time I'm like, I should not have done that. But I still find any and every reason to justify it. I'm like, I don't understand why I'm this big. I don't eat all day. I do a lot of activities, so what's going on? But it's that binge eating. And then I'm binging all that right before, and then go to bed. So, and like, I will binge and binge and binge and binge. It's a real problem. But you're seeing, like, I can acknowledge that it's a problem. It's negatively impacted my life. I've gained so much weight since I was a kid. My doctors told me at least my doctor told me I needed to lose weight, and I can feel the impacts of my health. And yet, I still have the problem. So, it's a work in progress. I am trying to work out more. I have stopped gaining weight. I do a great job at just maintaining at this point. But I need to lose it. So how can we fix our food addiction if you fall under this category? It's a simple answer, but it's not a simple fix, if that makes sense. The simple answer is we have to stop eating processed food. All it does is literally feed your addiction. It's literally a chemical in your brain, like, oh fuck, that's good. Yeah, that's good. So anytime you're sad, you're like, oh, I want that. Oh, I need that. Even if you just stuff your face, oh God. Food, cake, ice cream, all of it. So I have been trying to cook more, even though, God, it is a hell of a lot more dishes. Jesus Christ, take the wheel. And a lot more time consuming. I spend about 3 hours a day cooking. Dinner, that's all I do. I don't cook breakfast or lunch. But it's a lot better, and you're putting nutrients into your body and feeding your brain. So the next time you think about picking up McDonald's for dinner, just think about that. Think about how it affects your brain chemistry and your mental health and your body physically. And maybe decide to go make something instead. Spaghetti's easy, and it's better than McDonald's. That's my partner's go-to, but I don't like making spaghetti. I have to do complicated as hell. But I'll be glad to share some recipes if you'd like. I have a whole recipe binder because I do love to cook fresh. And I have noticed, actually, the insane amount of change in my IBS from when I was growing up eating constant processed food and homeless when I was eating constant McDonald's, to now where I actually have money where I can cook a real meal with real nutritional value. I have no Before, I would literally be crying in pain every day. Now, I mean, I still get my stomach issues, but nowhere near as intense pain like that. So yeah, really, really think about what you're actually feeding your body. Um, and of course, if you're having trouble with your food addiction, or even if you don't want to even if you don't want to classify it as an addiction, if you are having trouble with your health because of your eating habits, join the group. Like, let's talk about it. This is really what this is about. I want a community where we can talk about our problems, lift each other up, and help each other find solutions. Because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. Okay. So, yes. Next, I want to do social media addiction. According to the research I've done, I hope this chair is not being too loud in this video. According to my research, about 10% of Americans, just Americans, for some reason that's all I could find, but about 10% of Americans fall under the category of social media addiction. %10. Hey Siri, how many people are in America 2023?
Here's what I found from earthquake.com. 2.5 million is the officially accepted number.
No. Hey Siri, what is the US population in 2023?
Here's an answer from macrotrend.
Okay, so about 340 million people.
Here's what I found.
So 10% of that, 10% of 340 million people fall under the category of social media addicts. That's a lot of people. And I too am one of them, just like the food addiction. I too am one of them. Thank God I have gotten a lot better. This podcast has given me a lot of things to focus on. It's really time consuming. So I don't really have time to just scroll through social media anymore. I don't have time to just endlessly look at these nonsense pictures. And I'm going to give you tips on what I did to get there. But social media addiction. Now I know y'all are probably going to laugh at this. But it's real, and it's a real problem that affects relationships, like your partners, your family, everything. It can affect your work. I can't tell you how many times I go to a restaurant or anywhere out in public, and I'm the grocery store, and people are literally the workers are just scrolling. Many times I'll go to a cashier and they'll just be on their phone and not having, and not having any communication with me. And that's just not okay. Like, we are losing the face-to-face realism for a phone, for these snippets of people's lives that end up leaving us feeling like trash and having us compare our lives to other people's and placing less value on what's happening in our lives because someone else's looks better. Even though they tell you, you know that that's not real life. You know that nobody takes the negative side of their life and post it onto the internet, except for I do that shit, but most normal people do not. So that leaves you comparing your bodies, your relationships, your life, your progress, everything. I cannot even tell you how many times I've cried because, everybody in my age has kids, but not me. But also I'm gay, so that does change and affect a lot of things. But I can't tell you how many times I used to cry about that shit. Ugh, I literally could not see a baby on social media. Bodies. I can't, it leaves you, first of all, comparing your partner's body, your body. It leaves you have this idea and you're engraved in your brain to what somebody should look like. So you compare, you feel ugly, you feel less than. I used to really think I was ugly because I don't look like a lot of people on social media. I have a big nose, a puffy face. God, and my hair is always nappy. So that's a big insecurity is my hair. Um, but the more I look at myself and less at other people, I realize I'm a beautiful fucking person. Everybody is. So stop staring at a screen and comparing yourself to that because you're beautiful. Just because you don't look like that person, that doesn't define your beauty. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. Anyways, back to the topic, addiction. So there wasn't like a classification, like how much usage you had to use to be classified as an addict. It just had to be that it had to impact your life negatively. You had to feel impulses, and like hard to like quit social media. Those are the basic symptoms of addiction. So like how many times have you like, picked up your phone, you scrolled through social media, sat it down, and then not even 10 seconds later, you're picking your phone up again? You know why that is? Ding, ding, ding. Dopamine. Just like crack, just like weed, just like sex, just like the food. Dopamine. When you are scrolling through your phone, looking at that pretty girl, looking at that sexy boy, looking at that beautiful beach. Oh, this person's dream wedding, this beautiful big family that's happy-go-lucky. That's your brain's flooding with dopamine. You're getting high as a kite off of dopamine. But you don't know because it doesn't really give you that euphoric feeling. But your brain is flooding with that chemical. So every time you're bored, like just for a second, your brain's like, dopamine, social media. That's why you pick up your phone. And a great tool for that I found is keeping your screen time on. Seeing that I was scrolling or using my phone for 7 to 8 hours a day before I was even doing any podcasting stuff. So this was basically 90% all social media because I don't have no friends or family that I'd be texting for hours a day. No. 7 to 8 hours a day, every day on social media. Hold on. If you scroll through social media for just 2 hours a day, God, I hope this math is right. I did this before and I'm just going off of what I wrote. That is 728 days a year you spend scrolling. No, good God, not days a year, hours. I was about to say, hold the hell up. There ain't 728 days. 728 hours of your life a year scrolling. That's 30 days a year scrolling through social media. And like I said, I was going 7 to 8. A full-time job, I mean, I could use my phone at my work, really, because it was a slow-ass hotel. But anyways, that's a lot of constant dopamine going into my system. So when I'm done, I feel like, you know, less happy. I feel down. I need that dopamine. Um, so my main point of putting out those statistics and those numbers out there is turn on your screen time and be consciously aware of how much time you're putting into the screen time. Just endless scrolling, mindless, just sucking your soul. Stop it. Stop it. Put that shit down. It don't make no sense. Read a book or something. I have cut my usage down to about 2 hours a day. So that's still a long, long time. But most of the time now I'm only using it for my podcast stuff. I'm gonna share my method right now. So like I said earlier, when you're looking at these beautiful lives, it can make you feel down. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, seeing people active on social media and then not liking my stuff pissed me off. I would feel worthless, like trash. Like everyone hated me. I took that shit personally. For what? I don't know. I don't know half these people on here. Really? Less than that. I had like 500 people on my Facebook friends, probably more. And I talked to 2 of them in the last 3 years, probably. Don't nobody fuck with me. So why would I continue to put myself through that? I don't know. But for years I did it. For years I'm like, why don't people like my stuff? Why don't people want to talk to me? And then I'll like their stuff and then get mad when they don't react to mine, like they owe me. So at first, what I would do is like, oh, you pissed me off. Like you didn't like my Facebook post. Block. But that was only like people like family or something, because I'm like, why would you not like my post? But then I'm thinking to myself, I don't even if I like something on social media, half the time I'm not pressing buttons. But anyways, it doesn't even matter. Why does it matter if they like my stuff or not? They add nothing. They add no value to my life. They don't interact with me. They don't talk to me. Why am I letting them impact my mood this much over an app? Make it make sense. It doesn't. So instead of blocking people, that only left me feeling guilty for blocking them because I felt like I was being vindictive, which I was. I kind of switched it. And you can say it's vindictive, but I did not do this. I had to click something in my head. I did not do this to spite someone. I did this for my mental health. And that's a whole different concept. So what I did is I removed everybody. Anybody that I did not have a deep connection with or that did not add value to my life. So, I mean, I even removed people that would interact with my post because they're not my friends. The main point of this was because seeing them on my friends list, to me in my head meant they should be my friend, right? Why else would you be my friends on social media? False. False as shit. None of them were my friends. Not a single one. No, one. You know who you are. So why? Why keep feeling like shit? Seeing these people not interact, feeling like attacked when I don't know them. They don't know me. So I removed them all. And then so really that ended up I had a few people on my friends list. I fucked my throat up screaming to Taylor Swift. Woo! So, yes. So, by the time I got done removing people, which I'm still really doing because it was a lot of people for literally no reason, I had nothing but like influencers on there. So every time I got that urge to pick up my phone and scroll through feedback, I mean, through Facebook, it didn't have that same impact because they weren't showing me anything great. Half of them I didn't even care for, but they were just, videos. So, but I wasn't seeing this beautiful person or this beautiful beach. I was just seeing something I didn't much care for. So that alone cut my usage down to nearly zero. I was averaging about 30 minutes a day, which is insane compared to 7 hours. So my usage only started coming back once I started this podcast because unfortunately you have to use social media and it's hard. It's hard, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Anyways, so yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Now let's talk about this sex addiction. Now I know you may be thinking, that's not a real addiction. But I know you've all heard about sex addiction. I was one of those people to be like, that's not real. But it is. And it's not something to be taken lightly because this can be a very dangerous habit. Sex addiction, like other addictions, is classified as the impulse controls that are very, very hard to control. Disruption to your daily life, so causing some kind of turbulence, and you still choosing to do it anyways. So now this could be cheating on your partner, but not always. A high sex drive is different, but feeling like you need sex to feel loved is different. Like you have to touch somebody to get that fulfillment. I think is a little different. I still don't want to say that. Because I'm no doctor here. I'm not trying to diagnose y'all with sex addiction. You know if you have an addiction. So this is for you, okay? Now I kind of got the opposite reaction to sex with my trauma and stuff, but this is still big in my BPD community that I am in on Facebook. So I did want to cover this. And, with an emotional disorder, I mean, that's kind of a given. Like BPD, like we're big on love. We need to feel love. So a lot of people probably they need that touch and that they feel like they need that connection. But sex shouldn't be the only thing that's giving you that fulfillment. It is a very healthy thing to want sex. And by all means, if high sex drives, woohoo, you do you. Nobody's sex shaming here. But if your partner is telling you that, I'm not even going to say your partner because that's that can be a whole different thing. Y'all's things probably cannot just match up. But if you're cheating on your partner because you just need sex and you're disrupting your life, you're having sex at work, in the office, in inappropriate places because you just can't control yourself, then that's how you know you have a problem. And there's many different reasons for why somebody can have a sex addiction. But the basis is it does release that dopamine. Again, that feel-good chemical that has your brain telling you to come back for something so you can feel good again. And with mood disorders, we can kind of get away with that, because it's something not only is it the dopamine, but it's it's proven to be a pain reliever, and a mood stabilizer, but take that smallly. Kind of like a mood stabilizer. It makes you feel good and can take your mind off of what was distracting. So like if you're having sex for love, that's great. But having sex to stop the pain you're feeling or to stop those thoughts in your head that are just getting to be too much, that's not healthy. And that's how you develop a problem. That's a good way. That's how I'm gonna phrase it. Disregard the high sex drive. Who cares? Everybody has different sex drives. That's completely normal. But using sex like a drug to make yourself feel better is a different thing. And really, you need to ask yourself, why do you feel that way? Why do you seek out sex to make you feel good and better about yourself? And when I say it can be very harmful, because if you lack impulse control, which if you're an addict, you do, you can put yourself in a lot of dangerous situations. Unprotected sex can leave you with many different sexually transmitted diseases. You can have unwanted pregnancies, and that does nobody good. And you can get physically in harm's way. Like you could get murdered if you're just sleeping around. Like, good God, there's no judgment, honey. There is no judgment here. But I do not understand how people can just go on these damn apps and go sleep with somebody. What if they kill you? That is so dangerous. Didn't your mama ever tell you not to get in the car with strangers? Well, don't get in the bed either, honey. It's all right. It's just not safe, you know? So if you find yourself in constant dangerous situations, having unprotected sex despite knowing that you should not be, and you don't know this person, tell your therapist. I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I'm saying it because I care about you. You may think it's healthy and it's not that big of a deal until you're in the back of somebody's trunk tied up. And then what? At least, let me back in my phase. I did have a little phase. If this is you, always, always, always send one person, tell somebody who you're going with. If you don't know them, you found them on the app, send a picture. So somebody has who you're going with and where you're going. And that can literally save your life. And that's super important. That's all we care about. You can only change if you want to. And if you've really, I'm not here to tell you if you have a drug addiction. I'm just here to speak on addiction. So, and that's really all I have on sex addiction, because most of these I have experience with, but not that one. But I did want to touch on that. That is a real addiction, and it does have real dangers despite what you may think. And the last one is the drug addiction. I saved this for last because it's the most obvious one, and I really, really, really connect with it. I am an addict. I'm not a junkie. I just smoke a lot of weed unnecessarily. And I do fall under that addiction category because I have constant urges. And so I did a test. Let me tell you here. So I did a test and I tried to stop for 30 days because I was feeling really groggy and I wasn't really getting that high I wanted. So I stopped and I managed 2 days and I was like freaking out, and I never felt more like a drug addict in my life. Like the impulses were real. It's insane. And then I had so much energy when I wasn't smoking. But the thing was just how my brain was like, I need that. It was constantly, everything I did, it was just weed. And that's no good. And I'm spending like a lot of money on weed. So, gotta work on that. But anyways, drug addiction. It's a big problem in America. It's really, really sad. I've known way too many addicts. Thank God I'm not on their level. I just stick with my marijuana. That's, if you're gonna do drugs, that is the safest one to do. But I'm not here to push drugs. I'm here to be anti-drug. Anyways, so drug addiction, same as other way, same as everything else. It's that dopamine that's in. When you do drugs, no matter what drug you do, alcohol, weed, coke, meth, it's all releasing a bunch of dopamine into your brain, which is the feel-good chemical. It makes you feel over the moon. So, so good. And I realized when I quit for those 2 days and then when I went back to smoking, drugs are an amazing silencer. And I'm very certain that's the main reason why a lot of people do drugs. Well, I can't say that. People start doing drugs for many different reasons. For people like us with BPD, it's typically to cope. But that's still, I was introduced at 12 by my mom and my older sister. But that quickly turned to cope. I realized that it stopped my anxiety. I could socialize with people. And I could do a lot of things that my mental health before was like limiting me. I could not go out in public without like literally crying. I couldn't interact with people without being horrified. But weed, I just laugh. Who cares? I'm carefree. I'm not stuck in my mind wondering if people are judging the way I walk or talk, or if I shook their hand properly, or if I said hi the right way, if my voice was too high. It shut it all down. It was amazing. It was so quiet. It was peaceful. But that only masks your feelings. It doesn't fix anything. Drugs, sex, food, all of these addictions have the same thing in common. They are a temporary fix. The only way to really get better is to dive inside and figure out why you're doing these drugs in the first place. For me, it was really all about just functioning. I told myself in my head that I needed weed to function. And in a way, back then I kind of did. It was before I really did therapy, before I started forcing myself to do the things that I was uncomfortable with. I was just literally holding myself back. I can't even tell you how much I held myself back from anxiety. But smoking, I didn't care. It helped me so much. So I was like, I justified it. I'm like, this is beneficial. It's good for me. I justified spending $400 a month when I had nothing else. I would put weed over food because I needed it to get through. I couldn't, if I did not smoke weed, I was going to lose my job because I could not handle it. My anger was off the charts. I just knew that's what was my reality. That's what my brain was telling me to keep me smoking. But the funny thing is, when I quit for, even over those 2 days, I felt so good. I felt so good. Even though I was going through a little bit of withdrawals, I was a little bit shaky, and pretty nauseous. But that was it. I felt very, very, very good. I was clear-headed. I was functioning. I was making videos. I was going out in public. I was having I was having positive interactions with no anxiety, and I was shook. And I'm like, I can do this. But that doesn't come from weed and masking it. It comes from I've been putting in consistent work to work on my anxiety. Weed did not help me. I still had anxiety. A lot. So, the point of that is drugs. You don't need them to mask your feelings. If everybody stopped trying to mask their feelings and hide them and shove them deep in a closet, we'd all probably be a lot better and a lot less. There probably wouldn't be a mental health crisis right now because emotions are important. They are. Your feelings matter. And when your body is it's literally your body telling you something. You're in pain. So why put a Band-Aid on it when you can fix it? Drugs are only going to make it worse. It's going to put off your life. It's preventing you from being who you are supposed to be. So if you find that you are doing drugs, even weed, which I know a lot of you are. If you find it hard to stop, let's take a break together. I will be doing the full 30 days soon. I'm going to make a whole YouTube video about it. And I'm going to stick with the 30 days. So I guess I'm going to challenge y'all. Like if you are a stoner, or really whatever your addiction is, let's all do a 30-day challenge together. Let me know in the comments. Definitely follow my Facebook so we can all talk about it together. And let's do this shit. Like, we all can kick our addictions. Addictions do not define us. No matter where you are today with your addiction, that's not you. No matter who you hurt, what you did, you can do better tomorrow. And that's what this is all about. Like, stop using drugs to mask your symptoms. It makes it worse. It makes you feel dependent on them. So yeah, I guess that's all I got on that. I had a very fun time talking to y'all today. Please, please, please let me know what you thought in the comments. If you are not already, follow my YouTube, my Facebook, my Twitter, and all my other social medias. I'll place the link tree, and you can find that shit. Just give my YouTube a follow, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified, I guess, when I post a video. Bye for now.
Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy